You are listening to Furious HOA Karens. They tried to bury the audit log. This is not a discussion. This is a directive. Karen marched into the lobby yelling that my appeal was late even though I had just received the notice. I stood there holding the envelope with the postmark still visible, dated 3 days ago, and she pointed at a calendar on the wall like it was evidence in a murder trial. The notice said I had 10 business days to respond. I was on day 4. Her finger jabbed the air between us. This is not a discussion, this is a directive. You missed the window. The fee stands. I am a remote software developer. I spend my days on video calls, tracking timestamps, auditing logs. I know when something does not add up. The portal showed my payment receipt on file 2 weeks ago. Now it was gone. The system claimed I had never uploaded it. Karen stood in front of me wearing a pink windbreaker with the hood up and a tiny body camera clipped to her jacket, holding a printed notice that looked like it had been run through a laser printer 10 minutes ago. I said, I uploaded the receipt on the 15th. I have the confirmation email. She smiled. The portal does not show it. That means it does not exist. That was the moment I knew this was not about a late fee. This was about control. This was Autumn Ridge Reserve Association in Erie, Pennsylvania, where the board uses vendors as muscle and pretends it is policy. I had heard rumors about the cold case from 2 years ago, the one where a homeowner claimed the HOA had deleted his variance request and backdated a rejection notice. He fought it for 6 months, then gave up and moved. No one ever proved anything. The files were gone. I looked at Karen and realized she was betting I would do the same thing. Give up. Pay the fee. Move on. But I work in systems. I know deleted does not mean gone. I know audit logs exist. And I know that if she did this to me, she did it to someone else. I said, I want to see the portal audit log. Her smile dropped. We do not provide that. The Autumn Ridge Reserve Association has a clause in the bylaws that says homeowners can request records with reasonable notice. I had read the bylaws 3 times after I bought the house. I knew what I was entitled to. I also knew Karen Baker, the treasurer, had a history of moving deadlines, changing formats, and pretending compliance was optional. I filed the records request that afternoon. 3 business days for a response, per the bylaws. I included the confirmation email, the portal screenshot showing the missing receipt, and a polite request for the full audit log of my account activity from the past 60 days. I sent it certified mail. I sent it via the portal contact form. I sent it as an email to the management company. I was not giving Karen any room to claim she never got it. The next morning, I got a call from the management office. The woman on the phone sounded tired. She said, "We received your request. The treasurer wants to clarify that the portal is a courtesy tool, not an official record system." I said, "Then what is the official record system?" She paused. "I will have to get back to you on that." That afternoon, Karen left a notice on my door. It was printed on Autumn Ridge Reserve Association letterhead, signed by her as treasurer, and it said my amenities access would be suspended until the outstanding balance was resolved. The balance was the bogus late fee she had invented. The suspension included the mailroom, the pool, the fitness center, and the guest parking passes. It was dated that morning, but the envelope had no postmark. She had hand-delivered it. I called the management office again. The same woman answered. I said, "Can the treasurer suspend my amenities access without a hearing?" She said, "Technically, no. But she does it all the time." That was when I knew I was not the first. That was when I decided to dig into the cold case. I went to the neighborhood Facebook group and posted a simple question. Has anyone else had issues with portal uploads disappearing? 3 people messaged me within an hour. One of them was the guy who had fought the variance rejection 2 years ago. His name was Derek. He still lived 2 streets over. He said, "She deleted mine too." I had screenshots. She told me screenshots are not official records. Then she backdated a denial letter and said I never submitted the request on time. I asked if he still had the screenshots. He said, I have everything. I just did not know what to do with it. I met him at the coffee shop near the entrance of the neighborhood. He brought a binder. Inside were printed emails, portal screenshots with timestamps, and a stack of certified mail receipts. He had requested a tree removal variance in May 2 years ago. The portal showed his upload on May 3rd. On May 21st, the upload was gone. On May 22nd, Karen sent him a rejection letter claiming he had missed the 30-day window. The bylaws said variances had to be filed at least 30 days before the planned work. He had filed 37 days in advance. But once the portal showed nothing, he had no way to prove it. Derek said, I even called the management company. They said the portal is administered by the HOA board, not by them. Karen told me if I did not like the decision, I could file an appeal, but the appeal had to be submitted within 10 days of the original notice. I never got an original notice. She backdated it to make it look like I had missed the appeal window too. I said, Did you ever get a written response to your records request? He shook his head. She told me the records were retained for 1 year, and it had been 14 months. She said there was nothing to provide. That was the pattern. Delete the upload, backdate the notice, claim the records are gone, move the goalposts. I asked Derek if he would be willing to testify at a hearing if I could force one. He said yes. I went home and started pulling my own records. I had the original payment receipt PDF on my laptop. The file metadata showed it was created on March 15th at 2:14 p.m. I had uploaded it to the portal at 2:18 p.m. the same day. I had the confirmation email with a timestamp. I pulled the email headers. The email had been sent by the portal system at 2:19 p.m. Everything lined up. The portal had acknowledged receipt. 4 minutes later, the file was in the system. Now it was gone, and Karen was claiming I had never uploaded it. I opened the portal and took screenshots of every page. The payment history page showed a blank entry where my March receipt should have been. The upload log page showed no activity on March 15th. I checked my browser history. I had logged into the portal that day. The session cookies were still cached. I exported the browser history as a CSV file and saved it to 3 different drives. I called a local news tip line. The staffer who answered was named Monica. She said, "We get HOA complaints all the time, but most of them are just neighbor disputes. What makes yours different?" I said I can prove the records were deleted. I have the file metadata, the confirmation email, and the browser history. I also have a witness from 2 years ago with the same pattern. If the HOA is systematically deleting uploads to manufacture violations, that is fraud. She said, "Do you have access to the server logs?" I said, "Not yet. I requested them. The HOA is claiming they do not have to provide them." She said, "Get the server logs. If you can show a pattern of deletions tied to one user account, we will run it. But you need hard proof. Screenshots are not enough. We need something that shows intent." I thanked her and hung up. That was when I realized I needed to escalate. I needed to force the HOA to hand over the audit logs, and the only way to do that was to file a formal dispute with consequences. I drafted a demand letter. I attached the payment receipt, the confirmation email, the browser history export, and Derek's binder scans. I cited the bylaws section on records retention. I demanded the full audit log within 5 business days. I also demanded an immediate reversal of the amenities lockout and a written apology. I sent it certified mail to the management company, the HOA board, and the HOA attorney. Karen called me that night. She said, "You do not get an opinion, you get a fine schedule." I stayed calm. I said, I uploaded the receipt on March 15th. The portal confirmed it. If you are claiming it does not exist, I need to see the audit log. She said, the audit log is internal. It is not subject to homeowner review. I said, the bylaws say I can request records. An audit log is a record. She laughed. It is a system file. It is not a record. You are wasting everyone's time. I said, then I will file a complaint with the State Attorney General. Pennsylvania has a homeowner protection statute. If you are deleting records to manufacture violations, that is fraud. She hung up. 2 hours later, I got an email from the management company. It said the board had scheduled an emergency executive session to discuss my dispute. I was not invited. The email said I would be notified of the outcome within 10 business days. That was when I knew I had rattled them. An emergency session meant they were scared. It also meant they were going to try to bury it. I called Derek and told him what was happening. He said, they did the same thing to me. They held a session, voted to uphold the violation, and sent me a bill with interest and late fees. By the time I got the bill, it was $300. I paid it because I did not want a lien on my house. I said, did you ever see the minutes from that session? He said no. They told me executive sessions are confidential. I looked up the Pennsylvania HOA statutes that night. Executive sessions are allowed, but only for specific topics, personnel, contracts, litigation strategy, and member discipline. Fee disputes do not qualify. If the board voted on my dispute in an executive session, the vote was invalid. I drafted another letter pointing that out and sent it the next morning. The response came fast. Karen emailed me directly. She said, your appeal has been reviewed. The board has determined that the portal upload failure was due to user error. You are responsible for ensuring uploads are successful. The fee stands. If you do not pay within 5 business days, we will proceed with a lien filing. The lien will include the original fee, administrative fees, and legal fees. Total, $1,200. I read the email 3 times. She had escalated from a $50 late fee to a $1,200 lien in less than a week. The legal fees alone were $800. I had not been to court. No attorney had been involved. She was inventing charges to pressure me into paying. I forwarded the email to Monica at the news tip line. I also forwarded it to the HOA attorney with a note. Please confirm that you authorize the inclusion of legal fees in this dispute. I did not expect a response, but I wanted to create a paper trail showing Karen was acting alone. The next morning, I got a call from a number I did not recognize. I answered. A man said, "This is Dan from the management company. I am calling about your dispute. I want to clarify something. The board did vote to uphold the fee, but the lien filing has not been authorized yet." Karen sent that email on her own. I said, "So the board did not approve the lien?" He said, "Correct. I am going to ask her to retract that email." I said, "I need that in writing." He said, "I will send you a letter today." I hung up and immediately called Monica. I said, "The management company just admitted Karen is acting outside her authority. She is threatening liens without board approval." Monica said, "That is good, but I still need the audit log. Can you force them to produce it?" I said, "I am working on it." That afternoon, I got a letter from the management company. It said the lien filing threat was rescinded pending further review. It did not address the original fee. It did not address the audit log. It was a stall. I knew the management office closed at 5 p.m., and it was already 3:45. If I wanted to deliver the dispute packet in person, I had one shot. I printed everything: the receipt, the confirmation email, the browser history, Derek's binder scans, the demand letter, the lien threat email, the retraction letter. I put it all in a folder with a cover sheet. I drove to the management office, Karen was in the lobby when I walked in. She saw me holding the folder and her face went red. She said, "You do not have an appointment." I said, "I am here to submit a formal records request under the bylaws. I do not need an appointment." She stepped in front of the counter. She said, "The office is closed." I looked at the clock on the wall. It was 4:52. I said, "You close at 5. She said, "We close early on Fridays." I turned to the woman behind the counter. I said, "Is that true?" The woman looked at Karen, then at me. She said, "We are open until 5. Karen turned to the woman and said, "I am instructing you not to accept that filing. It is incomplete." I said, "How do you know it is incomplete? You have not seen it." She said, "You did not include the required affidavit." I said, "What affidavit?" She said, "All records requests require a notarized affidavit stating the purpose of the request." I pulled out my phone and opened the bylaws. I scrolled to the records section. I said, "There is no affidavit requirement. The bylaws say I need to submit a written request with reasonable notice. I am doing that right now." Karen grabbed a 3-ring binder from the counter and flipped it open. She pointed at a laminated page. She said, "This is the updated policy. It was adopted last month." I said, "I never received notice of a policy change." She said, "It was posted on the portal." I said, "The portal you claim I never access?" Her face went redder. She said, "You are being argumentative. I am terminating this interaction." The woman behind the counter said, "Karen, I can accept the filing. It is fine." Karen said, "No. I am the treasurer. I have the authority to reject incomplete filings." I stayed calm. I stayed calm because I had one piece of proof that would end the whole game. I looked at the woman behind the counter and said, "Please timestamp this folder as received today at 4:53 p.m. I will leave it with you. If the board claims they never got it, I will know who is responsible." The woman reached for the folder. Karen stepped between us. She said, "I can fine you daily until you give up and you cry." If you are enjoying this, hit that like button and subscribe for more HOA drama and cold case investigations. The woman behind the counter finally stepped around Karen and took the folder. She stamped the cover sheet with the date and time. She handed me a receipt. Karen glared at her, then at me. She said, "This is not over. You have just made this so much worse for yourself." I walked out. I got in my car and sat there for a minute, trying to process what had just happened. Karen had tried to block a records request in front of a witness. She had invented a policy on the spot. She had threatened daily fines. And she had done it all while wearing a body camera. If that footage ever surfaced, it would destroy her. I drove to the county clerk's office. I had 30 minutes before they closed. I went to the planning and zoning counter and asked for a copy of the permit records for my address. The clerk pulled up the file and printed a summary. It showed every permit, every variance request, every inspection for the past 10 years. I scanned the list. There was no entry for Derek's variance request from 2 years ago. I asked the clerk if that meant the request was never filed. She said, "If it is not in our system, it was either never submitted to the county or it was withdrawn before we logged it." I said, "Could the HOA withdraw it without the homeowner's knowledge?" She said, "No. The homeowner has to sign the withdrawal form." I asked for a copy of the records. She printed them and handed them over. I paid the fee and left. I now had proof that Derek's variance request had never made it to the county. That meant the HOA had either blocked it internally or never forwarded it. Either way, Karen had lied about the rejection. The county had never rejected anything because the county had never received anything. I called Derek and told him. He said, So she never even submitted it? I said no. She deleted your portal upload, told you it was rejected, and pocketed the application fee. He said, how much was the fee? I said, $350. He said, I paid that. She said it was non-refundable. I said, she stole it. That night, I went through the neighborhood Facebook group archives. I searched for every mention of Karen Baker. I found 12 posts from the past 3 years. 4 of them were complaints about portal uploads disappearing. 3 of them were complaints about backdated notices. 2 of them were about mystery fines that appeared without explanation. One of them was a post from a guy who said his guest parking pass had been revoked because he supposedly did not submit the renewal form. He had screenshots showing he submitted it on time. The board told him screenshots were not official records. I started making a list. Every name, every complaint, every pattern. I reached out to each person via private message. 5 of them responded. 3 of them had evidence. One of them had an email where Karen explicitly said the portal was having technical issues and uploads were being lost, but the HOA was not responsible for lost files. That email was dated 18 months ago. Karen knew the portal was deleting files, and she had done nothing to fix it. Instead, she used it as leverage. I compiled everything into a single packet. I included the payment receipt metadata, the confirmation email, the browser history, Derek's variance documents, the county clerk records, the Facebook posts, the private messages, and the email about the technical issues. I also included a timeline showing the pattern, upload deletion, backdated notice, fee escalation, lien threat. It was 40 pages. I sent it to the HOA attorney with a cover letter that said, "Your client is engaging in systematic records fraud. I have multiple witnesses and documentary evidence. If the board does not reverse the fee and produce the audit log within 3 business days, I will file a complaint with the Pennsylvania Attorney General and provide this packet to local media." The attorney called me the next morning. He said, "I reviewed your submission. This is concerning. I am going to recommend the board conduct an internal audit." I said, "I want the audit log now, not after an internal review. Now." He said, "I will see what I can do." 2 hours later, I got an email from the management company. Attached was a PDF. It was the audit log for my account. The log showed every login, every upload, every deletion. On March 15th at 2:18 p.m., I uploaded the payment receipt. On March 16th at 9:42 a.m., the file was deleted. The user account that deleted it was K. Baker. Karen Baker, the treasurer. She had logged into the portal the morning after I uploaded the receipt and manually deleted it. Then she sent me a late fee notice claiming I never uploaded it. I forwarded the email to Monica at the news tip line. I also forwarded it to Derek and the other witnesses. I printed 3 copies and put them in separate folders. One for the Attorney General, one for the board, one for the attorney. I was not taking any chances. Monica called me that afternoon. She said, "This is exactly what we needed. We are going to run a story. I need to interview you and at least 2 other witnesses. Can you put me in touch with Derek?" I said yes. "When do you want to do the interview?" She said tomorrow. We are aiming to publish early next week. That night, Karen emailed me. The subject line said final notice. The email said, "You have engaged in harassment of board members and staff. Your amenities access is permanently revoked. You are banned from all HOA meetings pending a disciplinary hearing. The hearing is scheduled for April 19th at 7 p.m. You will be notified of the location." April 19th was 3 weeks away. She was trying to stall. She was also trying to intimidate me into silence. I forwarded the email to the attorney with a note, "Your client is retaliating against me for filing a legitimate dispute." This is illegal under Pennsylvania law. The attorney responded within an hour. He said, "I did not authorize that email. I am going to instruct the board to reschedule the hearing and lift the ban. Please stand by." I said, "I want it in writing." He said, "You will have it by end of day." The next morning, I did the interview with Monica. Derek did his interview in the afternoon. She also interviewed 2 other homeowners who had similar experiences. The story was scheduled to publish on Monday. I spent the weekend preparing for the hearing. I printed the audit log, the timeline, the witness statements, and the attorney's retraction letters. I organized everything into binders with tabs. I made copies for every board member. On Monday morning, the story went live. The headline was, "Local HOA Treasurer Accused of Deleting Homeowner Records to Manufacture Violations." The article included the audit log excerpt, Derek's story, and quotes from 2 other homeowners. It also included a statement from the HOA attorney saying the board was conducting an internal review. Karen called me at 8:15 a.m. She was screaming. She said, "You went to the media? You are going to regret this. I am going to make sure you never feel comfortable in this neighborhood again." I said I submitted the packet to the HOA attorney and watched the tone change instantly. She hung up. 10 minutes later, I got a call from the board president. He said, "We need to meet. Today. Can you come to the clubhouse at noon?" I said, "Is this the disciplinary hearing?" He said, "No. This is a settlement discussion." I said, "I want the attorney present." He said, "He will be there." I arrived at the clubhouse at 11:55. The board president was already there. The attorney was on a video call from his office. Karen was not present. The president said, "We have reviewed the audit log. We agree that the deletion was inappropriate. We are prepared to reverse the fee, restore your amenities access, and issue a written apology." I said, "What about the other homeowners?" He said, "We will review their cases individually." I said, "No. You will refund every fee that was based on a deleted upload. You will also publish the audit log policy so homeowners know their files are being tracked." The attorney said, "We can agree to that." I said, "I also want Karen removed from any role that gives her access to the portal." The president hesitated. He said, "That is a personnel matter. We cannot discuss it with you." I said, "Then I am not signing anything. I will take this to the Attorney General and let them sort it out." The attorney said, "Wait. Let me talk to the board." He muted the call. The president and the attorney had a conversation I could not hear. After 5 minutes, the attorney unmuted. He said, "The board will hold an emergency meeting tonight to address Ms. Baker's role. If the board votes to remove her from treasurer, will you accept the settlement?" I said, "Yes. But I want the vote documented in the minutes. And I want a copy of the minutes within 48 hours. He said, "Agreed." I signed the settlement agreement. It included a full refund of the bogus fee, restoration of amenities access, a written apology, a commitment to review all disputed fees from the past 3 years, and a policy change requiring the HOA to notify homeowners within 24 hours if an upload is deleted. It also included a clause saying the board would address Karen's access to the portal in an emergency session that night. The meeting happened at 7 p.m. I was not invited, but Derek was. He texted me updates in real time. The board voted 4-1 to remove Karen as treasurer. The one dissenting vote was Karen. The board also voted to refer the matter to an independent auditor to determine if any funds were misappropriated. Karen stormed out halfway through the meeting. Derek said she was yelling about defamation and threatening to sue everyone. The next morning, the management company sent an email to all homeowners. It said the board had voted to remove Karen Baker from the treasurer position pending an audit. It also said homeowners who believed they were wrongly charged could submit a dispute with supporting documentation. The email included a link to the new audit log policy. For the first time in years, the HOA was being forced to operate transparently. 2 days later, Karen sent me a certified letter. It was her written retraction. She claimed the deletion was an accident caused by a software glitch. She said she took full responsibility and apologized for any confusion. The letter was required by the settlement agreement, but the wording made it clear she did not actually believe she had done anything wrong. I did not care. I had the retraction in writing. I filed it with the Attorney General complaint as evidence of acknowledgement. The independent audit took 6 weeks. The auditor found that Karen had deleted 83 uploads over a 3-year period. 31 of those deletions were followed by fee notices within 10 days. The fees totaled over $15,000. The auditor also found that Karen had backdated 12 notices and altered 6 meeting minutes to remove references to disputes she had lost. The report concluded that Karen had engaged in deliberate records manipulation to generate revenue and avoid accountability. The board held another emergency meeting. This time, they voted to terminate Karen's board membership entirely. They also voted to refund every fee tied to a deleted upload and to publish the audit report on the HOA website. Karen threatened to sue for defamation. The attorney told her to go ahead. She never filed. 3 months later, the HOA held its annual election. 5 board seats were up. 4 incumbents chose not to run. Derek ran for treasurer. He won by a landslide. The new board voted to switch to a different portal vendor, one with automatic backup and user activity transparency. They also voted to require the management company to send email confirmations for every upload and deletion, with copies to the homeowner. Karen moved out of the neighborhood 4 months after the audit report was published. I heard she bought a condo in a building with no HOA. I never saw her again. But the damage she caused took years to fully unwind. The board eventually refunded over $20,000 in bogus fees. 17 homeowners filed complaints with the Attorney General. The management company was fined for failing to supervise board access to the portal. The cold case was closed. The pattern was broken. The HOA was forced to publish standards and timelines to all homeowners. And Karen's stopwatch and ruler routine got mocked by the room every time someone mentioned the old board at a meeting. I still live in Autumn Ridge Reserve. I still attend board meetings. I still check the audit log every month. And every time I upload a document to the portal, I get an email confirmation within 60 seconds. It is a small thing, but it matters. It means the system works. It means no one can rewrite history and get away with it. Take care, and thanks for watching.